Here's what actually happens when estranged adult kids reach out later in life. It's almost never casual. They don't reach out because everything is healed.
They don't reach out because everything is healed? What the fuck's that mean? Oh, I'm all better now, so I can come back into a relationship with you and demand nothing of you, no accountability, no. Is that what she means? I'm gonna need some salad dressing with that salad. That's for sure. Can you pass it? Pass it on over? I think I'm gonna invent my own. It's called fucking bullshit salad dressing or something. I don't know. Come up with a name. You come up with a name, I'll come up with the bottle. Um, or the label for the bottle. Anywho, I don't know where she's going with this yet because it's my first time listening to it. I screen recorded it eons ago, even before I connected with Desi. I will say this. There are definitely a lot of situations where an estranged adult will reach out to their parent because they've gone to therapy and they feel like they are in a better place to navigate the relationship without looking for accountability, even. Lots and lots and lots and lots of times. I hear this a lot. I know it happens a lot. And it goes along with what I talk about in the first 3 years. A lot of times the adult offspring will come back in with touches, trying to take the temperature, trying to see if they can navigate, trying to have conversations, hoping the parent might have even gone to therapy themselves, all the different things. What often happens, not always. Sometimes what happens is that same adult does come back to something better, something that they can enjoy, and a relationship that can be repaired and built. It happens. I think it happens quite a lot, actually. In the other case, once you've gone to therapy and you understand that you were just a child and that you were trained to be a certain way because it was conditioning and training, and you start to grow your sense of self, self-esteem, love for self, all the things, you go back in a place where you know how you deserve to be treated, and you have a level of expectations attached to that. Meaning that you're not going to be spoken to like a little child anymore. You're not going to be disparaged, manipulated, triangulated, smear campaigned, all the things. And when you go back in with all this healing under your belt, and healing is a journey, it's about growth and it's lifelong. Doesn't mean that you're in a place where your life sucks and you're always healing. It just means there's points in time where we grow more than other points in time and we come into our own that much more and those sorts of things. And you go back in and you're in that certain space and the treatment starts coming in and you go, oh, hell no. And you go back out because you realize that what you've come back to isn't yours to fix. It isn't healthy to be in a relationship where you're having to tolerate or become smaller to be able to be in that relationship, that the value that you're receiving is so below the damage that is trying to be done that you're done. That's what happens. So like the way that she's putting this already, that they're not completely healed, there isn't a completely healed, there is a more healed version of a person coming in who's worked on themselves, who goes, no, like I want to be in this relationship, however, I'm not going to be treated any which way kind of thing. And then they start throwing around, the disrespect word and all that. We know what that looks like a lot of the time.
They reach out because something cracked. A divorce, a death, a health scare, maybe a child of their own asking questions.
Sure, sometimes adult offspring come back in because they need support from their parent. Lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my, that's so wrong. Really? Really? And actually, when my eldest was low contact, no contact, off and on with me until we repaired our relationship over 20 years ago, there were a couple of times where she had health scares and she called me. And I was more than happy to show up and hoping that the door would be open for me to stay. And Eventually it was. At first it wasn't. And would I judge her for that? Like, this is judgmental, right? Hell no. If she was going through something else, like, whatever the other things that she mentioned, and she called her mom, hell yeah, I'm in because she's my daughter. Like, and I love her. And I want her to know that she can come to me for support. Like, she's painting this like, oh, they'll only call you when they need you. It's very reminiscent of how my mother used to call me a user when I was a small child. And she conditioned me not to be able to ask for help because I was afraid that people would call me a user. Talk about having to work overtime to undo programming. That was a big one. And it's still one that I carry, just not in the same way. I carry more in, I don't want to be a burden kind of thing. I don't carry the user thing anymore, thankfully. That took a long, long time.
Time does what distance can't. It removes the echo chamber. When they reach out,
It removes the echo chamber. So here you are. I've created one for you. Don't you worry.
the certainty is gone. The anger is quieter. The story feels thinner. And the confidence that they once had doesn't hold the same weight. Because estrangement doesn't erase attachment, it just postpones reckoning.
Finally, something true. Estrangement does not erase attachment. That is actually very true. Time does, healing does, recognition does, estrangement doesn't. And a lot of times I'll hear someone go, I really love my mother. I really don't want to be estranged. And in some situations when I say, okay, what do you love about your mother? What do you value? Um, that person might be like, well, they did nice things for the neighbors or something like that, like something that wasn't relational between them and nothing that they admired outside of something very surface. And they would struggle to find things because they were abused by their parent, their mother in this case. We're talking mothers here because she's a mother, well, biologically. And what a lot of us come to recognize is it is about attachment and our need to be loved by our parent, not necessarily about the love we have for them. My mother terrorized me so early on and so consistently that my love for her never developed. I don't love my mother. I don't remember loving her in childhood. I remember looking up at her and thinking she was beautiful and wanting to be like her sometimes. I remember more than anything else really wanting her to love me and not being able to see whether or not I loved her. Looking backwards is where I see, no, I didn't feel love for her because I didn't feel safety with her. And where there's terror, love doesn't develop and grow. Love takes nurture, right?
Reckoning. When they come back, they're often surprised. They're surprised that the parent didn't collapse, that the earth kept turning, that they're not met with the villain that they had rehearsed.
The glee is palpable.
And here's the part that no one talks about. Reaching out doesn't feel like relief, it feels like grief. It's grief for lost time, for lost nuance, for lost versions of themselves. And that's why the reconnection is awkward, because it requires humility, not control. It requires curiosity, not certainty.
Yeah, there's definitely, like, I'm thinking back to my own experience. Um, I mean, I was definitely joyful and happy that my daughter wanted to speak to me again and was allowing me to come back into her life. And I was definitely sad about some things that I missed. I was sad for me and I was sad for her. So yeah, okay, it comes with mixed emotions. She really wants to make it seem like the adult offspring who end up going no contact are just these evil, unfeeling people who are doing something horrible by abandoning their parents. I mean, that's her platform, and that's what she's building. I thought like this was going to be maybe a little advice about the reconnection. I did not know this was going to go in this direction.
Because it requires humility, not control. It requires curiosity, not certainty. Estrangement feels powerful early, but later it asks questions that you can't mute.
I have never felt that estrangement is powerful. And when my mother came back in 17 years into the estrangement and said, "Do you want to have a relationship?" And I talk about that in other videos, how that rolled out. I bobbleheaded yes. And I reached out to her and she never responded back after dangling the carrot. And that was painful yet again. I never found, to this day, power in the estrangement. I find power in my own healing and the love that I've developed for myself that I didn't know I didn't have and didn't know I could have. Um, the grieving is real, like there's no power in it. I mean, not for me anyway. And I've never heard anybody who's estranged go, "Yeah, I'm powerful." Like, anyone have some other experience around that or opinion around that? I'd love to hear it. I'd love to see it in the comments section. I think it would be interesting if that does exist. I would love to understand where that feeling comes from and what it does for you. And I'm saying like it must be in a positive way if it does. I think if I had felt powerful walking away, it would have helped my healing process. I wouldn't have felt as much loss, maybe. I don't know. I have to think that through.
This is Charlie Brown Girl, where we heal out loud and proud. Not the villain, just the parent.
And she just did her sign off, so I'm not going to play that over and over again because we know she's the villain, not the parent. So I'm going to sign off for her. That's her sign off because that's what we've come to know. Um, yeah, okay. Well, that's enough of that today. I've had enough CBG for the day. You'll see this dress on repeat, so you'll know that I've made more than one video about her. And I'm going to go on to someone else now. I'm kind of in my mass production mode, so I can keep giving you content. If you have someone you want me to cover, let me know. I'm still going to continue to deep dive on CBG and LSMA together. I didn't think about it until right this moment. I was going to end the video, and then I had like a little tickle going on. A lot of the estranged parents, some of which I featured, have privatized their accounts. So when you make your account private, it's harder to grow and harder to be heard by the masses. And the estranged parents I create content around are the ones who smear campaign their offspring. And who are the voices that I want to quiet? Theirs. So I'm taking that as impact, and I hadn't thought about it before. What do you think of that? Wow. Huh. Yeah, I'm gonna think about that. Let me know what you think. Thanks so much. See you soon.